Welcome to No Question About That. We are talking about United 0 Wolves 1 today with Tom. How's it going, Tom?
I think I'm still riding the wave of Thursday, to be honest. It's, I guess, a shame that our players weren't riding the same wave, but felt like more of a calm down for that.
After the Lord Mayor show, wasn't it? The
Absolutely.
Viagra-induced moment of Thursday, and now we're all a bit limp. I don't know whether
Yeah.
that's a good analogy. Probably not. Yeah, it was very flat today. I mean, I guess you would say the lack of intensity was kind of understandable. A lot of changes. I think there were 6 players who started who are 22 or under. And obviously Chigo Obi came on later on to add to the youth. And so the lack of coherence in the team, kind of, inevitable, really. Lack of intensity after Thursday, kind of inevitable. And yet, without, as my Twitter followers will tell me, stop celebrating mediocrity, but there were some bright spots. Harry Amas, Tyler Frederickson.
Amas was great, yeah.
Both great today. They both did really well. I think Harry Amas is a legit option. In fact, it kind of feels, after Amas did well in pre-season, remember we had was it LA had a really good game, and then Ten Hag just kind of ignored him. I guess the noise is coming out of the club where he wasn't physically ready and maybe has kind of got, physically developed over the last 6 months or so, but feels like there's an option there that we were missing. And Tyler Frederickson, he's been given the opportunity because obviously they're resting Maguire and Lenny Yoro and Delict not fit, and Aidan Heaven still with a boot on after he had a setback in training, but he's come in, first start for the first team, did really well.
Yeah. And Wolves weren't at it either. Like, if you looked at the form table before today's game, Wolves would have been second over 5 games. I think even second over 10 games. They've been in really, really good form with the Vitor Pereira. Yeah. But today, they looked as unarsed as us, but large parts, actually less arsed. Like, the amount of space that they were giving Christian Eriksen throughout the whole game. You think Eriksen in a deeper position, you think, that might be a worry in a different day, but he was just having the walk of the space, wasn't he? The walk of the play, sorry. Just picking up the ball, doing Christian Eriksen things of maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And yeah, the whole game just felt really, really weird, really flat, very friendly, like, especially first half. I mean, a lot of our league games have felt like that. The Man City game felt like a pre-season friendly a couple of weeks ago. Today did feel like that for most part, but I thought we played mostly okay. It's just when we get into that final third, over and over and over again, we make some of the most baffling decisions, or we are let down by the worst type of technique. Like, Mason Mount had a great chance. Even Bruno had a really, really good chance. And a lot of the chances as well came from the left, and Amas framed some great balls in, and him linking up quite nicely with Garnacho, who wasn't at his best day, but still created a lot of chances and a lot of openings and a lot of opportunities. It's just, and the big one, I'm sure everyone listening will know what I mean, is when Højlund did that turn, and we basically had a 3-on-1, and then for some reason he tries to do this little turn and completely runs into the defender. It's like, I saw people say it encapsulated our season, but I don't think it did, because he made a really nice turn before that, and we've seen so little of that this season. I feel like the second half of that encapsulated his season, because he's just been so off it and
just completely missing.
We'll get into this later, but I would like to see more of Obi, because every touch he makes within reason is really good and really positive. Like, his first involvement today was making a run down the side, and maybe, I think, if he was a bit older, he probably would have shot that first time. He tried to play it into Bruno. I feel there's almost night and day between the two, the way that they think on the pitch. And the Højlund mistake was just an encapsulation of everything that was annoying about today. Not super annoying, but it's just like, we could have had them outside. We should have had them outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Create some really good opportunities from wide areas. Harry Amas putting balls in, linking up, as you said, with Garnacho well. I thought Garnacho did well today. I mean, not the final product wasn't there, perhaps, but he was constantly running. He was the one player who was committing Wolves players. And yeah, he still feels raw in some aspects, but yeah, no, you couldn't question his work rate. He's running, he's working hard. Højlund, his first 20 minutes were completely baffling. He's basically stood still in the centre. I was almost transfixed by watching him, right? He's just like not moving. I don't know whether he got an instruction, started running into the channels. That's fine. And it's okay when he does that, because as long as there's other players who will come in from midfield to occupy that space, which we don't really have a box scratcher, and not since Scott McTominay left and started banging in loads of goals. So Lazio, including a fine header yesterday. I know, you imagine he would have got on the end of one of those crosses today.
Yeah, lovely.
But Rasmus, he looks like a striker who's, I mean, obviously low on confidence, but also he looks like one who's like actually 5 or 6 years younger than he really is. Like the movement in and around the box is almost non-existent. Like all those balls going in, he's just stood there still, like doing nothing. I mean, I'm sure the club are looking for options for him. Like I've no doubt, right? It's 2 years now. It's not happened for him. The problem is 72 million euros, very, very high PSR cost. Even though he's on reasonable wages, it's going to be hard to find someone who'll cover the losses. So, like in accounting terms, or at least in PSR terms, if we sell him, we likely take an impairment charge. Like, so it costs us to sell him. It feels ridiculous, but that is Manchester United over the last decade. You get fucked twice. You get fucked when you do the bad deal, and you get fucked when you have to get rid of them. And I'm afraid that's probably the inevitable outcome for Rasmus, because you look at that and you think, top striker, he's on the end of those balls, or in fact, he's on the end of balls and linking up play. Yeah. You know, and we'd have probably won that game.
I think a lot of it is mental, because, and that's not just a confidence thing. It's also like presence of mind at times. Like the way he sometimes runs too much in a box. Like he doesn't get that balance right between not running enough and running too much. Like that perfect balance in the middle, where sometimes you might have to drop off from the defender, sometimes you might have to run to the front post. And it's so, like, there was a moment in the first half where he just ran into the wrong area and like completely made the run way too early. And you think, and then with the example that I said, like, that is all mental. He saw that pass there and for some reason just didn't choose it. And there is also a question of technique at times. Like, his touch sometimes is perfect and beautiful, and he makes a really like a lovely turn like he did for that moment. But other times he just the ball bounced off him really easily, or like his pass is too bad at the end. There are so many problems right now, and that's why I think I would love to see Obi start from the beginning against Bournemouth in midweek, because I understand the reason why you would play Højlund, try and get his confidence back, try and, even if you just wanted to sell him in the summer, play him some games so he's going to be in the transfer market. But I think if you were just going fully win right now, I think you would play Obi, because I don't know what, I don't think he can do any worse, for one. And I think that what he's shown us, like, he has got something about him, and especially around the penalty area, he's a threat. He makes the right runs, for one.
For sure. Well, he does, and that's why he scored so many goals at youth level, because his actual game intelligence, although some of his technique is a bit raw, fine today actually.
Yeah,
I mean, if you watch him at youth level, he's a bit untidy sometimes, but
cumbersome.
He gets in those right areas all the time, and that's why he scores so many goals. So I think there's a good future for him. It's like really hard to tell with young players, isn't it? But
yeah,
I think you look at him and go, yeah, okay, he's playing a bit ahead of his time already. We'll see how he develops physically. He's obviously big and quick already, or whether he gets any age-related injuries, because that happens. Young players like this a lot as well, and all of that. So and the same with all the young players who featured today. It's really hard to tell exactly what their future is, but like on first, second, third sight at this level, you can see there's already quality there. I mean, just kind of reinforces the idea that there's just a lot of work to do in the summer, like on refreshing this squad. We know a lot of players are going to leave. It's just, there could be 9 players leaving. I mean, it depends, like the loanees, they're looking for clubs, or there are options with some of the loanees, some big names, and a lot of players leaving on a free. I think it'll be 4 that leave on a free, and probably up to another 4 who they'll be looking to sell beyond the players that are out of the club already or semi out of the club on loan. So it's just a really, really busy summer, and that's kind of inevitable if United finish in the bottom third of the table, not even the bottom half. I mean, we can only dream about 11th right now. It's like clearly at any elite club, you're going to start to change things around. And this game, like some bright spots, but it just kind of reinforces, I think, like the work United will have to do. And also in the short term, everyone's like May the 1st. That's the only thing that matters, right? Away at Athletic Bilbao. By the way, as we're recording, they will be playing today against Real Madrid. So, good chance to have a look at them if you like. But that's the only thing that matters. Although, we were just speaking off air, it's three and a bit £1 million per place, right? And so I was looking at the fixtures this morning going, well, it's unlikely, but just imagine United win all 6 of the games that we had left as of starting today. And you could go, well, results go right, might finish 11th or 12th. The difference between 11th or 12th and 17th, as could well be the case, if things all go very badly, is a lot of money. In fact, about twice the amount of money United will make from going on a post-season tour to Hong Kong and Malaysia. So that's some context. I know it's not the big picture is win the Europa League, right? Save the season. Amorim said, well, it's still a disaster of a season if we win it. Yes, it is, because United are 15th or whatever it is right now. Have lost 15 games in the Premier League. But that's the pathway to redemption, to rebuilding, to growing as a club, getting back where we should be, not losing games against this shite Wolves team at home.
Absolutely.
And so on.
Even with knowing the financial ramifications of losing today, it still didn't feel like that badly. I think the only thing that I really felt about it was annoying to lose. Obviously, it's always annoying to lose. I felt, maybe some opposition fans are going to give me some stick because of losing today, as they always do. But in that, I think because of Spurs Day, there was like a sturdiness to my emotions today, which aren't always present when you're watching United in the league, because everything is about the Europa League. Everything was about Thursday, and it mattered so much. Like watching today and going 1-0 behind, you're like, I mean, it's never nice to lose, but the way we played gave me a lot of optimism and confidence, really. Like we played really, Wolves were bad, but in the second half we played really well. We created a lot of openings, we created a lot of opportunities. It was frustrating in this sort of element, but because the game didn't matter that much, it wasn't that frustrating. It felt like watching the pre-season games where you just watch with interest and intrigue, and you don't really assess it emotionally. You're just watching from almost like an intellectual level. And it felt like that today. And it was nice to not have any emotional kind of pull. And then nice to watch United without that, especially, I mean, it was beautiful in so many ways on Thursday, but it was also torture. Like, I was so angry when we went 4-2 down. I felt like I felt a lot of emotions I regret. And I was kicking doors and stuff in my house, but obviously you get the cathartic loveliness at the end. Whereas today it just felt nice to just watch it and be like, yeah, this isn't that. But yeah, that intangibleness of financial constraints, and also it just we were able to see so much about what is needed in this team right now. Like, and we know it. It's pace from deep, pace and power from deep, and just cutting edge in the final third in goal scoring ability. and that's going to be hard to purchase in the summer. It's going to be expensive.
Hard and expensive, and it's definitely a lot of work on hand for Jason Wilcox and Christine Vivell to do all that work. We had a little bit of a look at Mateus Cunha. I mean, no surprises from Cunha. We've seen him for a couple of seasons at Wolves now. He's developed as a player. I mean, he was a kind of non-scoring centre forward at Atletico Madrid, and now he's a deeper left 10 in a 3-4-3. Everyone will be looking at that going, interesting. We see Garnacho and his rawness still. Like, he doesn't score enough goals. We've got Cunha, who's got, I can't remember how many goals, 16 goals is it for Wolves this season? He's got quite a few, and playing well. And of course, United had some problems today. I mean, I don't know whether the big Norwegian up front for Wolves is exactly the ideal striker for Cunha to be playing off, but yeah, would United spend what would it take, 50 million to bring Cunha in as the big purchase of the summer? Don't know.
I heard on the radio they were saying 65, and I wonder with Cunha if he is better as the small fish in the big pond. At Hertha Berlin before Atletico, where they signed Cunha from, he was electric. He was so good, and then didn't make it at Atletico, and comes to Wolf and does a similar thing like he did at Hertha. I wonder if that is a little bit of a thing, but I think not making it at Atletico it's not easy for every player that goes there. Like, they play a very certain style of football, and maybe that speaks to his lack of work ethic and lack of work rate, maybe, in that respect. And I think that would be the big question mark for me. How much is this guy ready to work as we need him to work, and how does he fit, I guess, alongside Bruno if he's going to play in one of those 10s, unless Bruno plays a little bit deeper, which is possible. I try and think what those two would be like on the same team, because Cunha feels like he's not Bruno. He's not the same type of player, but I feel like he's a playmaker of sorts. He likes to get on the ball a lot in the same way as Bruno does, and I think Cunha has so much quality and so much of the attributes that we need, especially in the final third, that cutting edge, that like final ball, that final pass, that final shot. He's so good at all of that. He always has been. I just think there are question marks over him, but I guess the thing is, there's no perfect player. There's no one in world football right now you go, oh yeah, and he's really easy to sign. We'll sign him for quite cheap, so we'll just put him in the team. And I think if you were to look at everything about Cunha, I think you would think he's probably in the top 3 or 4 players that we could sign right now who would make a difference.
Yeah, it would make a difference. It's just, what does the total budget look like, and what can we do with it? So, I mean, I guess everyone is looking towards the end of the season, sort of looking at these younger players. Amorim spoke about it pre-game. He said it's not the ideal situation to throw these players in. I'm sure everyone would agree with that. It's a bit hard, sink or swim, when you're an 18-year-old in a team that's not playing very well, not scoring a lot of goals, not creating a lot of chances, all of that kind of stuff. But we will get to see more of them. Amorim's clearly signalled. He said the fans will have to have some patience with the results, and it could be ugly the last few games of the season. As much as my hypothetical about, hey, what if we won all 6 of our final games, or 5 as it is now to come, it could get quite ugly if you look at the teams we've got to play. Some teams in form there. Are any of these younger players able to sort of make a name for themselves? I'd be surprised if any of them got themselves in contention for the Europa League. I mean, I think we're pretty set on who's likely to play there. I mean, it's a shame Chiyobi's not registered for that one, and weird rules and all of that, because that would have been nice to have a second option up front.
Yeah.
Given it feels like we're playing with 10 a lot of the time.
Oh, we got Harry Maguire.
But it's nice now. We can go look at Frederiksen and go, if we had to throw him in, he's going to be all right. Amas, if we have to throw him in, not worrying about him.
Oh, absolutely. And I think in some respects, in the league will give us that. There's the lack of pressure there for the games. And you say sink or swim, which is definitely true, and things could get ugly. But I feel like at this moment in time, at least from my perspective, and I think probably a lot of United fans, there's not that emotional involvement in the league games now. We might have the embarrassment of losing 6 in a row and end up finishing 17th, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. And losing the game today, like I say, like I don't feel emotionally down like I would do with United. Like if we weren't in any other competitions, I'd be feeling really frustrated. I'd be feeling really angry. Be like, fuck, we're not getting any better under Amorim. But it feels like now it feels like most of the season's been our pre-season, but it feels like it can be almost another extension of that pre-season. And because there's not that emotional involvement, and because we have that buy-in of the Europa League, I feel like the fans, again today, it was so upbeat in the stadium. Like there was no kind of huffiness or like whistling about this pace of the game, because of obviously Thursday we have that bit of goodwill. And I think the only thing from a perspective, you obviously want to see us win. That's obvious. Every football fan does, and we obviously there's financial ramifications as we've spoken about. But the only thing that's going to actually come from us finishing 12th or 17th is the money, and also like other fans just pointing at us and the media pointing at us saying, "Oh, Amorim's done this, and there's another record break," and blah blah blah. Which all, to be honest, doesn't mean anything. The only thing that matters right now is getting everyone ready and getting us all emotionally and tactically and mentally prepared to win in Bilbao twice.
Yeah. Bilbao or bust ×2.
It is, yeah,
for sure. Yeah, no, I absolutely. It's absolutely true, and that's probably all the league games will feel a bit flat now as a result of that. And there's a certain risk to that because we got Bournemouth next weekend, so midweek off. Bournemouth next weekend. He probably, like most of the players who got rested today, will only play an hour of that game as well, max. Right, so it'll be interesting to see how many start. You couldn't possibly take any risks on injuries, but also you don't do you lose rhythm if players haven't played for 2 weeks? Amorim's job there to work out how many miles on the clock. I was surprised Allo came on today, to be honest, Amorim having talked about he's played more minutes than anyone else this season. Some of a crueler nature than I might say he's played more mediocre minutes than anyone this season, but he's played a lot of football, and Amorim said he was tired, and he even came on today. But I think that's true of a lot of players, as some of them are very tired, a lot of games, and because of the nature of the Europa League and just how many you play and all of that. So got to manage it. But looking at 11 days time and going, this is the big one. Keep in it. Don't get spanked by Athletic, who are a decent side but not a brilliant one. And it'd be interesting that without Nico Williams today, he's got a groin injury. And let's say, don't wish injury on any player, but if it was just a bit sore and he couldn't make it for those games against United, well, what a shame that would be.
That would be a shame. That would be a little bit of a shame. I mean, then I think they're the best team left in the tournament. I felt like they've been the best team left in the tournament for a while. While we better of Tottenham, but I don't think Tottenham are better than them. I think it's such a fear that we have that lovely night on Thursday and then it just comes to a real flat crescendo, which is the bit of a doesn't really make sense, but in Bilbao in that
bit of a flat crescendo, yeah.
Does that make sense? No. Yes, in Bilbao in the first leg, but it's about staying in that game, isn't it? Just about doing everything we can to not slip up, because that stadium will be absolutely bouncing, and we've been in the Europa League before where they've completely cleared us off the park with a much better team than we had, and I suppose they had a much better team as well, probably. But they are fourth in the league as well, and that is
They are,
in a very good league behind 3 other very good teams.
Yeah, La Liga's kind of, I guess Barcelona are going to win it this season. Ancelotti looks like he's leaving, dumped out of the European Cup by Arsenal of all teams and not going to win the league. Atletico Madrid are a little bit further behind. They were keeping up in the first half of the season, slipped back a bit. And Athletic Bilbao, the best of the rest, basically. So in a good league. So they are a good team. Valverde's an excellent coach. I think he was kind of a bit maligned at Barcelona because he only won the league or whatever it was, But I think in the context of where they've gone over the last 5 years and their issues as a club, maybe he didn't do too badly. So it's going to be a massive test for United, and somehow Amorim's got to turn around. Like it's away at Bournemouth next weekend. They're doing well. He's going to have to get these players to switch from being, part-time players in a losing team in the league to full-time in a hopefully winning team in the Europa. That's a tough one to make sure everyone is physically and mentally prepared for that.
It is a tough one, but it also feels like what we have been doing all season subconsciously, really, because in almost every big game that we played this season, we've turned up. You could maybe point to the Fulham game and say, oh yeah, we didn't turn up in that game, but Fulham at home in an FA Cup, quarter-final was it? It didn't feel like that big of a game because it felt like just almost like one of those flat games that we've just had so many times this season. But every game against whatever Europa League game we've had, we played well in almost. We played well in all the big games under Amorim, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, obviously. It feels like Man City twice, I guess. I feel like the in the second game we were the better team as well, even though that was a courteous game of football. Every big game we do turn up, it's just it feels like the small games in general, like we just go through this malaise. We're not mentally at it, we're not physically at it, we're not technically at it, whatever. And then the first half from Thursday was just exceptional. Where is this team been? Why can't they play like this every week? And I guess I don't have that fear. Hopefully don't have that fear with these guys. That I just think for some reason they have that ability to switch. This is a big game. Because like everything about Thursday was I know, don't just keep going over. You've already done a podcast about Thursday, but like Rasmus Højlund looked like a completely different player on Thursday compared to today. His touch was so perfect. He was making decent runs, etc., etc. And you see him today, and it's just it speaks to so many players like their performance on Thursday compared to what it's like every other week.
Yeah, I do think there's a couple of things going on here. One, there's more space in the Europa games. The intensity of the pressing is not there. You saw today how Wolves were very intense in pressing high to stop United trying to play out from the back. United kind of learned the lesson of the game against Newcastle. We really got in a lot of trouble there and just went a bit more direct into the channels, which actually helped us create some opportunities. Very similar systems, sort of 3-4-3, both of them matching up. United were in this mid-block, trying to funnel Wolves wide where they couldn't cause many problems, and the other way around, Wolves were trying to catch us out, couldn't, but we struggled to play through the thirds. And just the physicality, we get beaten up in the Premier League quite a lot. And then the Europa League just seems to be more space. You've seen sort of Casemiro's revival. A lot of that is down to Europa League performances where he is not, the shit is not pressed out of him. Right, and he's not having to run for 90 minutes, and there's just a little, 5% off in terms of the intensity of those games, and I think that has helped a little bit. I think we'll see in the summer. Sorry to keep coming back to it, but if you think of the pathway forward, there will be more physical. I'd be surprised if anyone we bring in is not an athlete in the summer, because we really need it. It really kind of shows where you have athletic teams. Wolves have some players like that today, but not loads, right? So they couldn't really take advantage of it. And I think that's what we'll do. Athletic Bilbao, quite a lot of younger players in there. If you look at there, obviously they're all Basque, but quite a lot of younger players in that team as well. They are a physical-ish side. That'll be an interesting test if there's any difference from the other Europa games. But you started off saying sort of night and day from today to last Thursday, and what did we do in that first half? I mean, I ended up feeling frustrated after that first half, even though we're 2-0 up on Thursday night, because we'd missed a boatload of chances. Could have been gone, the game could have been done and dusted, but I guess United never actually do that in any games. So, yeah. The good thing is, we got quite a few players closer to being fully recovered now. Mason Mount got some game time again today. They're clearly not pushing him. He hasn't played a full 90 since he's come back. Luke Shaw got rested after playing 70-odd minutes. That was way more than he was expected to play, but he played all of extra time as well as the last sort of half hour. So you have him as an option. Aidan Heather not far away, apparently, just a minor setback in training. And we could even see Amad Diallo before the end of the season.
Oh, it would be beautiful, wouldn't it?
Oh, and Kobe Mainoo getting more minutes today. Tried to repeat his magic from Thursday. Look further out today. Just went wide of the post his shot, didn't it? The Stockport Seedorf, as they called it. I'd heard that on Twitter before, and I didn't know it spread that widely. And then I saw the Dutch commentary of Thursday night's game, and it's all in Dutch. And then he just says, in perfect English, the Stockport Seedorf after he scores the goal. I was like, yes.
That's amazing. Yeah, he was quite quiet today. I actually can't remember David Bentley, who was brought in just before the game and played against us a couple of seasons ago, though, that he ever played for Wolves. I can't actually remember him making a save today, to be honest.
The stats tell me it's 4, but I don't remember. I mean, I had a lot of shots, a lot of them in the second half. Yeah, 2 on target, sorry, not 4. Right. 2 shots on target from United.
And that's the same. We've created a lot of opportunities, a lot of openings today. And I feel like we do most weeks, to be honest. It's not even the finishing a lot of the time. It's the bit before the finish, is the pass. It's the last pass, which is just either wayward or just the wrong ball. Wrong decision.
We're not scoring simple goals. I mean, Garnacho to Ugarte for the opening goal on Thursday night. Perfect Amorim goal. That's what he wants. He wants those connections between the wide centre-backs, the wing-back and the wide forwards, cut back for the third man run or the striker, and it's like over and over again you saw that in Sporting, and I was like, there you go. That's it. That's exactly what we've been talking about.
We had a few of those moments today, especially in the second half. There was 2 towards the end where Mount missed one, Bruno missed one. Some really lovely interchange on the edge of the box. One where Obi played it to Bruno, and then he went out wide. And there was loads on Thursday, it felt like, as well. It's just that last bit of quality which we're lacking.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, with Amas today, it was interesting because he put those first-time balls in, which I haven't seen an awful lot of this season. Dorgu's a bit rough with that. His knee's got some work to do. That is the quality we've seen from Harry Amas at age group levels. He does have a lot of running in him, and he's pretty assured defensively, as we saw again today.
Yeah, really
those first time balls, those crosses, his delivery there is it's always been good, and it's just a different vibe to the attempted intricate overloads, to isolate the man and then the cutback. And you want that, right? You can't just be one-dimensional all of the time. And it was kind of nice. Patrick Dorgu put in a couple of great crosses as well from the other side, both second phase balls from the corners.
Just didn't have the runners.
Both of them, you're like, someone Scott McTominay, make the run.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, since I mentioned him twice already, I was not one of these people that was crying too much when he left. I mean, just mainly because I was like, are we trying to develop a possession-based side? If we're trying to do that, it's hard to see a role for McTominay beyond coming off the bench. Misprofiled for much of his career, as he mentioned actually in an interview earlier this season. It was kind of interesting listening to a player use that terminology as well. And he's a box crashing 8. Like, where does he fit in United's team? It's hard to say. but he'd have scored one of those today for sure, undoubtedly. And we miss him. We do miss him, even if in the perfect United side he probably wouldn't have a place. But yeah, good for him. I for one, unlike what appears to be half the internet, I'm happy when ex-players do well, especially when they've departed on good terms, like Scott McTominay. Yeah, he's doing great. Napoli have gone joint top of the table. I think they're only second on goal difference to Inter. They won yesterday. He scored the winning goal. That's his 9th goal of the season. He's doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost always I like to see the United player do well, and even with Anthony, to be honest, I mean, he was one of the most despised United players I've ever who's ever played for United in my head. But I'd really like to see him do well, and not just even from a selfish monetary perspective, which obviously the financials make a difference, and him doing well makes a difference to what we can sell him for. But even just from a personal level, to see him have a bit of confidence back is really nice, and even more so when it's someone like Scott McTominay, who's I've been through this system from Manchester. Not just, again, from a personal perspective, it's great to see him happy and flourishing, but also what that says for the next generation that come through as well, that they, even if they don't make it at United, they've got a chance to make it elsewhere and thrive, which gives them added motivation, etc., etc. So it is beautiful. And yeah, it's, again, today, I like to see so many youngsters involved. And I expected more from the youngsters to play because of what Amorim said on Thursday night, that, we're going to see loads of youngsters. But yeah, we only saw 2 from the start. But I'd love to see Obi start next week. I think he deserves it. And again, I don't think he can do much worse. I think he's especially that game. I think it was Fulham in the FA Cup, where he did really, really well when he came on. We've barely seen him since then, to be honest.
Yeah. That's right. I was looking at Rasmus Højlund. I mean, since you're talking about Obi, I don't want to. Not trying to shit on him for the sake of it, but he's had just 45 shots this season. You just don't score goals, enough goals, if you only have that many shots. He's only scored against Leicester, Pilsen, Forest, Bodø/Glimt, Brentford, and Porto. Right? He's not even. He hasn't got very many goals. He's got 8 goals, not even against particularly good opposition in most of those cases. He doesn't take many shots. He doesn't make the right runs.
Doesn't feel like
he looks lost as a player, both in terms of confidence and he's learning. I mean, all of those goals came from 12 yards or less, right? He doesn't even shoot from distance. If you're trying to get a goal, try something. And so for all those reasons, you're like, I know you want him to score, right? Probably Amorim's thinking he needs goals. He needs confidence. For his confidence, he needs goals. That's why we're going to play him. But at the same time, you've got this young player who's clearly impressing enough to be part of the first team squad. You can see the raw skills and raw talent there. You know, I think most fans, if you took a poll today, probably 9 out of 10 would go, yeah, we'd like to see Obi start next week against Bournemouth.
And that's it. I was thinking the same with not wanting to shit on him, but I feel like you have to look at it almost as a scout would. Like, you look at this player and you see what Højlund's doing on the pitch, and it isn't a personal thing. It's just he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this, he's not doing this. And yeah, it's the touches in the penalty area which frustrates me. He either barely makes the right run, or he makes the run too hard, like I said earlier. Whereas, and I said this already, but the way that Obi made that run immediately, touching the ball in the penalty box within about 5 minutes of coming on, you're like, that's what we really want to see from Højlund. And then be able to get that snapshot off with his right foot, because he has that ability. That's what's so frustrating. He has that ability with his right and left foot. He scored a great goal against Leicester with his right foot. I think he scored another. Was it in Europe this season or last season with his right foot snapshot? It's just he needs a loan. I think he needs a loan to to just play at a lesser level, lesser pressure, and maybe with some more space.
Difficult
but right
deal
now,
to do as well.
Just, nothing's working.
Yeah, I was just looking at 14 touches today, just 6 accurate passes. It's like it's barely involved in the game. I mean, I know that's true of a lot of strikers, don't get awful lot of touches, and they're not very meaningful, just 2 in the box. So I was like, how are you going to score, right? Just how? You don't shoot, you don't score, don't touch the ball, don't get involved.
Like, I wonder if that touch from
I don't know how many touches an opposition player he had, because
I think the touch from in the box was also when he ran from one ran from deep. I don't think he was played into the box. But
big call. I mean, they would sell him, I'm sure, if they could get the money. I don't think anyone will put up anywhere near the money we need. I mean, is it a 64 in pounds? I think it is. So split that over 5 years. You've got, £15 million PSR cost. That's the loan plus his wages, right? It's really expensive for anyone to take him on loan without us paying another club to use our asset, right? Which we were doing with Sancho and Anthony. Rashford's slightly different in that there's no PSR cost, of course, 0 book value and all of that. So, it's why when you look at it, it's just why Champions League football is so important. Even if we're not quite ready, like as a team or a squad to play Champions League every week, the financial boost gets us to being ready much, much faster, and also like cushions some of the financial cost of unwinding our bad PSR position, which may come to pass if we don't get a big fee for Rashford. Like if Villa aren't in the Champions League next season or not in Europe at all, I don't think they'll take the option on, as well as he's done in some games. I think it seems inevitable that Chelsea are going to return Sancho to us. They'll pay a small fee for that, but we're going to have to try and get rid of him somewhere. And Anthony probably, I don't know if we'll get £32 million for him, which will be the book value. So there's 2 there in Sancho and Anthony we may take a loss on, right? So you need the money from other sales or from the Champions League to make up for it so we can move forward. So that's what we're looking for, right? Or you look to Le Carrington to come up with the answers. And there may be some there, like we've seen today. Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there's so much talent in Carrington. And you say that we haven't got the squad to compete on 2 fronts. We've barely got the squad to compete on 1 front right now. But you think it's reasonably easy to get through that 24 in the Champions League. I know Man City and PSG both tried and failed to go out of this season's Champions League. But you think some of the teams around there, like who went through, like Club Brugge or whatever nonsense that was also in that first round of 24, we've got more than enough quality to get through that, even currently today probably. It's being able to do that alongside the Premier League slog, because that in European football, because of the high quality and the high pressure and the high intensity of Premier League, I feel like in Europe we would do okay. We'll be fine if getting through the group initially anyway. It's just being able to combine that with the Premier League, and that's where we need to improve so much, and that's why we need power and pace and energy, because even you look at someone like Mount, who I like what Mount brings, and a lot of people have spoken about Mount being the perfect player for Amorim, but and in its early days of him coming back, but it feels like he's lost something. He's lost a yard, and he doesn't have that. He's never had the raw pace or anything like that, but he does feel a yard off it at the moment, and he's not quite as sharp as I think we need him to be. And again, it's early days. Maybe that's what it is, but I'm skeptical about what he's going to come back like, because he's just had so many injuries. And there's so many. I think
that's completely
players.
Fair. Yeah, he's not quite. Yeah. I mean, Mount will stay for sure. Like he'll be here next season, partly because of the systemic fit, and Amorim likes him, and the high cost, and might be hard to sell him. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure there'd be someone be interested just because of who he is, but I think he'll stay. I do kind of feel like Xerxes, Bruno, and him are basically all the same player in this system, and it's hard to. You can't get all three of them inside, that's for sure, right? Maybe you can get two if Bruno plays in central midfield in some games. We'll see how much of that we see next season and what the midfield makeup looks like. Do they bring in another central midfielder? A lot of talk about Edison from Atalanta. Another very expensive, but like a combo player. He's a 6 and an 8 all in one. Like that would be a very good fit with the squad. Probably too good for us right now. We'll see on that one. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. You look at some of these players and, Mount may peak just in time for the last couple of games of the season, right? They're clearly building up his fitness in order to not break him again.
Absolutely.
Or maybe the England got a couple of games in June, so him and Luke Shaw can go off to the England camp in June and get injured again and miss most of next season. So, I shouldn't say that. I'm jinxing it.
Probably going to happen, yeah.
So, yeah, it might do. All right. Oh, well, no midweek game. I'm sure we'll come up with something to say during the week. We'll see. We'll see what shenanigans are going on at United. But what is the story? One of the things I enjoyed most after the Lyon game is opposition fans like bitching on Twitter, Liverpool fans, Newcastle fans going on about it. Like, couldn't stand the fact that United were the story in the whole bloody world. If you've watched any of those threads of comms from around the world and everyone freaking out about what an incredible game that was.
I am so thankful that I'm not on Twitter anymore, because I haven't seen any of that nonsense. I've just been so cocooned in my lovely little blue sky bubble that I've just and Instagram bubble as well. I've just been taking in so much content over the last few days. Like, it's Easter weekend, and blessed be the content makers of Man United, because it's just been beautiful over and over again. I've watched so much, and I've not seen any of that nonsense. And I saw just a post on Instagram about something about celebration police from Jay Motti, I think, from Stretford Paddock, and I was like, I didn't even know that was going on. Then it feels it's lovely to be in
Keith Downs from Sky. Yeah, it was one of the Sky reporters who was like,
great.
Did
United win the trophy? What football's all about.
Off.
If you can't celebrate 3 goals in 5 minutes to literally keep your season alive, then what are we all doing this for?
I mean, among celebration policing, of which there is a lot on the internet, that is right at the fucking top. That was horrendous. Like, what are we supposed to go? Oh, well, it doesn't matter because we've lost 15 games this season.
Exactly.
So this one that we, we're not going to bother selling. Mild clapping. That should all, let's there.
And that's what I mean.
Like, library, shall we? Fuck off.
That's what I mean. Like, today's result, you're going to get people like that coming out and going, "Oh yeah, you followed it up by losing to Wolves, didn't you?" Like, no one cares. Like, no one. Look, we're looking at like the camera shots from around the stadium at the end of the game today, and like no one was that bothered. Like, obviously, it would be lovely if we didn't lose, but like
they'd all left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thursday was beautiful, and the Europa League is what matters. And like, if you just come on, get a grip. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to wind us up, but can't be asked for you anymore. That's
yeah. The wind up was almost worked. I think actually it was more like it shouldn't be in football. If you can't enjoy that, you should not be in football. Do something else. And unfortunately, a lot of the broadcasters have gone down this kind of. They feel like they need to keep up with internet trolls and memes and stuff like that, and so everything's about getting the right kind of clips, including Sky, who used to be the premier broadcaster and now don't appear to take it that seriously, and it's all about the social engagements. It's a shame. Yeah, disconnect from it is the best one. I drop into Blue Sky now and again. I'm not there that often. Twitter, I actually feel out of touch on Twitter a lot of the time because I blocked like almost all of the troll accounts. Like it cleaned up my timeline really well. You have to teach the algo every couple of weeks because it'll start bending you back to stuff you don't want to see. I'm just trying to keep it like good, positive football content only. And so you have to do a lot of time clicking the I'm not interested in this and block buttons in order to achieve that. Fighting against the algo, sadly.
Yeah, because every time I go back there, and I don't go back there that often, but say if I'm Twitter searching for something, the following tab is always the thing that comes up. It's just always just toxic nonsense every single time. And I'm like, if you're trying to lure me back, you're doing a really, really bad job, because it's always, I don't know, some debate from America, or is Elon Musk's tweet, or someone quote tweeting Elon Musk or something like that. And I don't know who is deciding what the algorithm thinks I am. Does it think I'm some kind of gym bro, American Republican or whatever? Like, is that the impression I'm giving up? I hope not.
I don't think it's very well targeted, is it? All that content. It's much more about what is the stuff that makes people angry and gets people engaged, and they're trying to suck you into that. Yeah. So yeah. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, everyone. You can catch the Lost Tapes wherever you find podcasts. The latest one was on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You're like 45 minutes of Ole's career from his debut, and no one could pronounce his name, to coming back after 3 years of injury at the end of his career. One on Kino just before that, with the lovely Paul doing the narration on these last couple of episodes. We got 58 to 68 period with interviews from a lot of the old players who played in that period coming up next week. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can catch us on all the apps for podcasts. If you're on the podcast apps, you can catch us on YouTube and leave a review and a rating and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.